This is One Fat Boy, and here are my NBA game predictions for April 7th. Tonight there is 7 games. I will be going over the spreads and over-unders for each of them. For the Magic at the Hornets, I'll be going with Orlando plus 13.5. So I expect Charlotte to win this. They are playing at home. They are playing against a lesser opponent and against an opponent who struggles on the road. But I don't see Charlotte being that dominant to cover 13.5 points. So that's why I'll have to take Orlando plus 13.5. As long as as long as Charlotte can just score a lot, like they should win this no problem. That's why I'm taking it over 228.5, as I expect Magic to also score a lot too, which that'll keep them close. But if you just really expect Charlotte's just be an onslaught the entire game, just bucket after bucket, like obviously still take the over, but just take Charlotte minus 13.5. But I think Charlotte's defense is not that great, and Orlando will keep it a little bit closer. For Boston at Milwaukee, you go with Milwaukee minus 6. So if Boston playing last night, I expect them to rest either Tatum or Brown, and in that sense, and also Milwaukee not having to play last night, that gives Milwaukee an advantage. So that's why I lean towards Milwaukee minus 6. They should win this, just because they're a little bit more rested, or unless there's some like game time decisions of resting people, then obviously that'll change things up. Like if Boston's resting more players, then really take the Bucks. If Milwaukee is resting players, then lean towards Boston. But just how it is right now, as I'm recording, I'd lean towards Milwaukee. I will lean towards under, like in both cases. If players are getting rest or whatever, under, just because Boston played last night. And Boston games usually a little bit more lower scoring, and Milwaukee as of late, their games have been like not crazy high scoring, so that's why I'm taking under 227. For Philadelphia at Toronto, lean towards Toronto minus 1.5. I assume Philadelphia must be resting players if Toronto is the favorite in this game, and especially with Toronto playing at home and with Thibault being out, which I know that for a fact. I just lean towards Toronto like winning, and obviously they're playing for something. They want to stay, or at least like get up to the 6th seed, or at least keep the 7th seed, and just have home court for the play-ins. I will be taking over for this game, as Philadelphia, like even if they are resting players, they can somehow like sneakily score a lot of points, or they can just like be trashed the entire game and like not even break 100. But Toronto, once again, like they're very consistent with their scoring. They're always in that like 110, 115 range. Doesn't really matter who the opponent is. They're always somewhere between like 105 and 115. So that's why I lean towards an over, just mostly due to the fact how consistent Toronto's scoring is. For Portland at the Pelicans, I'll be going with New Orleans minus 16.5. I don't have much faith in Portland, and with them playing on the road, I expect them to struggle a little bit more, as if they're not struggling enough. And the Pelicans, I'm sure would like to keep their 9th seed, just keep that home court advantage for that first play-in game. So I expect them to just come out and win. Try and win this in the first half. Rest your players, as they have very important next week. You want to have all your players fresh, so expect them to really just win this game. That's why I'm taking Pelicans minus 16.5. We'll lean towards an under, because I think if Pelicans are going to cover this at 16.5, like it's okay if they score 120. I just think they'll be holding Portland under 100 points or in the low 100s, so that's why I'd be leaning towards an under. For the Spurs at the Timberwolves, I'm going to San Antonio plus 8.5. So San Antonio, they are on a tear. They've only lost one game, I think in their last like 7 or something like that, but they've been playing very, very well. So if I ever see them as an underdog, especially 8.5 point underdog, I'm going to take the Spurs. Like even with Murray being out, they still find ways to win games, and I don't see that changing, especially with Minnesota, how they've been playing. Kind of unpredictable how they've been playing. Not playing their best ball of the season, while Spurs are playing their best ball of the season. So you can honestly take a Spurs for a win, and that'd be a good payout just by an 8.5 point spread. That's why I like plus 200. But obviously, taking Spurs plus 8.5 seems pretty viable. I will be going over 237, as both teams, they are high-scoring teams. This should be high-scoring. But honestly, this is one of those ones where you could take an under, as if one team goes cold, like if you ever see like an over, like 235, that means both teams have to be scoring the ball a lot the entire game. Which I can see that for these two teams, but I could honestly see one team getting cold for a quarter, making this an under. But I think the importance of this game should be high scoring. So hence why I'm leaning towards an over. For Memphis at Denver, going with Denver -3. So if Memphis being still banged up, and then I think Memphis will have a tough time trying to deal with Jokic, even though as long as like a role player steps up for Denver, like Jokic is going to play like he does. He just can just score at will, just kind of control the pace of the game. I don't think Memphis can control the pace, but I think Jokic is just a dominant force. That's why I'm just leaning towards Denver -3. Also playing at home, Denver, slight advantage there too. So another reason why to lean towards Denver -3. Also lean towards an over 232.5, as Memphis can put up a lot of points. Denver can put up a lot of points. Both these teams have been proven to be more offensive teams during the year, so that's why I'm leaning towards an over for this game. But overall, I think Denver, they should come out with a win. Memphis, I'm sure they can cover +3. Like, they kept it close against Utah with a lot of missing pieces. So overall, for the spread for this game, you'd go either or. If I had to choose one, I will likely not be betting on this game, like spread-wise. But if I had to choose one, I'd be leaning towards Denver -3. For the Lakers at the Warriors, so Lakers are officially out, so they really have no reason to be playing, as they really didn't show any effort all season. So I'd expect the Warriors to just come out and win. I'm sure they don't want to embarrass themselves and lose to the Lakers, as it's just kind of been a theme just to beat on the Lakers all season. So that's how I'll be leaning towards Warriors -12.5. As long as Lakers don't go on a 10-0 run at the end of the game to put the spread in their favor, I think the Warriors should be able to win by 12.5 points. As the Warriors have 4 quarters, the Lakers have 3 quarters best. It will be leaning towards an over 221.5, as I think Warriors, someone will get hot from 3. It's I don't care if it's Thompson, I don't care if it's Poole, I don't care if it's Kuminga. Someone on the Warriors will get hot from 3. Just push this over 221.5. Also, kind of their passing and just how they play offense. I think they'll have at least 115, 120 with no too much pushback. As for the Lakers, they have their players that give effort, but overall, I think their light of fire to win is not there. Thank you for watching. As always, bet responsibly. Have fun watching the games and good luck on your bets. And once again, thank you for watching.